last episode. I don't know. We kind of lost track. This is Brandy and Kevin solve the world's problems. We are on, oddly enough, episode 11. Are we sure? Is that episode 11? Because I was thought we maybe have gotten to 12, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think the last time you thought we were at one more, and I'm
Yeah,
just reading from the
for
last
whatever
video.
reason. So anyway,
know.
all right. So it's episode 11. Anyway, we'll just count that as good. And
It's just
so let's
stupid
kick off.
habit of counting. I don't know. Sorry.
I know, right? This whole math thing, it's like so yesterday.
I'm gonna go on the channel and go, oh, I was an ass. We're on 13
Actually,
or
if you want to
something.
know
I
the
don't know.
truth, math probably has the answers to solving the world's problems. That's why nobody likes it. No, just kidding.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that just don't add up right now.
This is quite true. But that's how we know, because math tells us it doesn't add up.
Something's funny.
Something's weird. And speaking of weird things, now this is of course this could only happen in Florida, right? This is only a Florida thing.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know why it's only.
Have we started in Florida? Is this the beginning?
This is the beginning.
Isn't that's usually the ending, right? They're like, oh crap, now we're in Florida.
No, let's start it off on a light note because the rest of it gets pretty darn dark.
Okay.
All right, so Vacationing Cop puts the P in Chicago PD. A Chicago cop vacationing in Florida was arrested early yesterday, December 6th, after being caught urinating into an ice machine at a beachside bar. No. Don't get those cocktails shaken yet stirred with ice, okay? You just skip the ice. Skip the ice.
Cocktail, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, okay, so is this really a Florida story? Or is this, well, it happens in Florida.
It can't be blamed on Florida, but it happens in Florida.
This sounds like a Chicago and an Illinois problem transported to Florida.
Technically, it is an Illinois problem. By the way, this guy was arrested for battery and disorderly conduct because upon arriving at the bar, the police found Capuch and his girlfriend on the nearby sand. Capuch was actively resisting and not obeying lawful commands while being detained. He shoved the security guard that tried to stop him from peeing in the ice machine a couple of times too. So, friendly neighborhood. So yeah, that was our top headline right there. I mean, stupid crimes, right? Yeah. If you're gonna get busted for a crime, peeing in the ice machine. Yeah, come on, really?
Hey, are you judging?
Make an effort, okay? Just make an effort. If you're gonna do a crime, make some effort. I will say this one goes on a list of creative crimes. If you're talking about awards for creativity. I give him an A+ for that. It's not a crime I would have thought of.
Is it possible No, there has to be like a spot next to the ice machine he could have resorted to.
Yeah, I mean,
I've realized that I rearranged some things, and I know some of this is blinking lights, but some of this is. I'm like,
wow, Kevin, you're like, you're digitally dissolving there, dude.
Yeah.
You are dissolving into your digital background.
Hey, Google, creepy. Monster lights off.
Are you sure that you're not an AI?
Now just really dark.
Yeah.
Okay. That helped on the.
I mean, how do you know that you're not an AI?
How do you know that I'm not an AI?
Yeah, I mean, how do you know that you're not an AI? How do you personally know you're not an AI?
Well, shit, that's a good question. Well, how would I know?
If you're an AI, how would you know?
Okay, I have to disprove the theory. How? Am I just a really advanced one, seriously damaged and broken? but
Well,
but advanced enough that that being able to discern the difference is difficult.
yeah, maybe.
Or we're all the broken AIs. We're relegated while we're going through updates. Can we do a clean sweep of the OS? If not, we're gonna have to
Well,
scrap
in
them.
theory, actually, if you study psychology, human beings are all work on a belief-based operating system. It's a fascinating thing. If we do
Yeah.
not believe a thing is possible,
Hey Google,
we literally cannot
monster lights on.
achieve it.
I'm testing my lighting. Hey Google, monster
No,
lights
he's
soft.
testing my patience. That's what he's testing.
Okay.
Just kidding. I don't really care. Do your lighting thing, man.
Well, the our audience of do we have
Zero?
an? Yeah. Oh, I can put chat on here in case we have anybody
You
that wants
could.
to
You
say
could.
something. There we go.
That would be
And
remarkable.
I can show that. All right. Dun, dun, dun. The nobody.
Woo!
um, um, and let me
Getting
try one more
comments
thing.
from nobody. That's
Hey
us.
Google,
We're so popular
Dyson
that
fan.
nobody dares to make comments. No, just kidding. Okay, so that was our lead news story. I thought that was fun.
The Chicago police
Chicago.
officer. Oh, so let's talk about the.
Yeah,
And I'm sure this is going to start a whole conversation train. You were talking about the Tesla Pi.
yeah. Actually, the Tesla Pi. There are some reports that say it's due to come out either this month or next month. I mean,
Do you have
but
any
I think that
specs
may
on
have
it?
been a typo because just as recently as last month, um, Elon Musk tweeted that if he had to, he would make an alternative phone service because basically Apple and Google are both threatening to ban Twitter from their app store in
Oh,
the
they
hopes of
have.
shutting him down.
Really?
Yeah, they've
Apple
both
and
done it.
Google both threatened to ban them?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Maybe so.
Oh,
Hold
Musk
on.
claims that Apple threatened them. Um,
Let's review the news. I mean,
let's see if Apple actually said that publicly that we can prove or disprove.
yeah. Forbes says Apple threatens to remove Twitter from App Store, but let's see what their sources are. So, yes. All right, fine. Let me disable my ad blocker, you whiny baby. All right, there we go.
Musk apparently met with Tim
Musk
Cook.
claimed it. The explosive allegation comes off the back of Musk taking shots at Apple, stating that App Store fees equate to a secret 30% tax on the internet. And
Yeah.
it's only against their competitors, by the way. It's not against. Not everybody has to pay. They don't make Uber or or Lyft pay that 30%. So it's actually gotten attention. That 30% app fee has actually gotten the attention of the FTC.
Wait. Okay. So they selectively didn't apply that to certain companies.
Correct.
Right. Which one? Lyft and who?
Uber,
Lyft and
since
Uber.
they're not direct competitors of Apple, don't have to pay it. But anybody who's in direct competition with something that Apple offers has to pay.
Yeah. That's pretty monopolistic.
Yeah, you know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything directly from Apple saying it.
Well,
Apple
Musk
hasn't publicly
apparently met with
stated.
Tim Cook,
No,
so
wait
there
a
was
minute.
something going on.
Apple hasn't publicly stated why they are considering whether Twitter meets the conditions for listing in the App Store. So obviously they are actually considering banning Twitter.
Well, it sounds like someone asked them the question, but didn't get a response. And that's so we don't have direct, but it like so it's not absolute proof of exactly what was said. Um,
No, it's not proof. It's not proof that they. The guidelines for listing on the App Store are public. There are some standout requirements that could be causing Apple to take a closer look. Apps with user-generated content, i.e. social media platforms, must have strong content moderation systems in place. So they could deem that content moderation that Musk is doing is not up to their standards,
yeah,
which personally, my feeling on that is, okay, there should be a third party uh, entity that monitors that and determines, because Apple monitoring it is like, we have the right to say what you have on your platform. I'm not too keen on that idea.
well, yeah. I mean, so there's so many things at play that I mean, first of all, the arguments that the tech companies have become monopolistic, right, are legitimate. Um, but what to do, right? Because the tech companies, and let's talk about the big five. Although
Mm-hmm.
Meta is no longer in the top five, but I'm gonna put those. Netflix is up there. Disney's one of those. If we're just talking about United States ones, Samsung, um, whole series, right, of companies. Um, Samsung's a mega giant, um, and they're all somewhat monopolistic. I- it's what do you call a monopoly, right? When is it? What is it? So, at each time in the past that we've had monopoly laws come along, there were, we could look at the robber barons, insanely useful to the economy. Um, and then, of course, they're doing things to take shortcuts to build that up. Um, and so the robber barons were, building railroads, right? And then there's
Mm-hmm.
telegraph lines. I mean, all kinds of stuff are being built, which we all benefited insanely from. But at a certain point, starts going increasingly into their pockets, which I clearly was allowed to a point until it was socially unacceptable, and then um, politicians needed reason to go, hey, this has to stop. But at the same time, they've benefited people. I mean, you look at a laptop, um, you look at a smartphone, and you say, um, or PC, or sorry, or desktop computer. If I have any one of those devices, this is a great equalizing technology. Of I may not have as good a one as someone who's super wealthy, uh, but or I may not have all the services that they have, but I've still got a smartphone. I've still got a desktop computer. I still got a laptop. So we've seen advances in those ways that everyone has. I mean, the economy has gone roaring for a long time. We could talk about some of the shakiness, um, but it's still it's booming. It's who's benefiting. Um, it's not like we're talking about questions about the economy. It's questions about the individual, like groups of people within the economy and large groups, right? Um, and that's where we can start getting upset when the tech companies like, hey, um, but we've built up
Well,
so much on the web around tech companies, and we've given so much power to them by choice because it benefited us. And now they're saying, well, okay, but it was for our benefit too, right? And that's one of those, I don't know, I'm just rambling. So,
well,
and
okay. So news Musk did meet with Apple
hmm
6 days ago, and um, he said that basically Tim Cook reassured him that Apple never considered seriously banning Twitter.
Okay.
But Apple had threatened, halted most of its advertising on Twitter. Yeah, so that's a huge cut into revenue.
Yeah.
And he did not say if Apple's advertising was discussed at the meeting. Now, part of the reason that Apple may have said something to them is because of the EU has the Digital Services Act, and it imposes new obligations on companies to prevent abuse of their platforms. And EU Commissioner Thierry Breton made comments in a meeting with Mr. Musk Wednesday, saying the social media site would have to, quote, address issues such as content moderation, disinformation, and targeted adverts. So that is perhaps Apple's not doing it directly, but telling them about you're not in alignment with the Digital Services Act, and if you're not in alignment with the Digital Services Act, we can't host your stuff anymore. Which may have been where that came from. Whether or not I agree with the EU's Digital Services Act or not, an international company has to play by international rules.
Right. Yeah, if you're in EU, I mean, EU, you're going to have to play by EU rules.
I can disagree with those rules, but then you talk about if Twitter does not comply with those rules, Twitter would not be able to be used or accessed by EU users. It would be relegated solely to United States and other territories.
Right. So, you want to talk about I don't know, do you have any thoughts on like Twitter? Everyone's like I don't know how many people are in an uproar about Twitter.
Well, a lot of it is talk. People being all talk and no action. The same way that people say every year that there's an election. If the election doesn't go my way, I'm leaving for another country, right? And then, where do you find them a year later? They're still where they were. It's outraged talk that generates no action. I think that actually Twitter has kind of improved. I see more conversation going on than I did before Musk took over.
I see people having a lot of fun on it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing that Musk did, and this is big news. 10 years, Twitter knew that there was child porn being distributed on Twitter and did nothing to stop it, nothing to moderate it, even though they had to have lawsuits brought against them by victims, begging them to take the content down and stop participating in distribution. It did nothing. The minute Musk took over and it was brought to his attention, boom, the hashtags that were being used to distribute it, gone. The kitty porn, gone.
Yeah. Man, it's
400. He banned 44,000 accounts on child porn.
Jesus.
They had 10 years to moderate that content and did nothing about it.
There's a lot of stuff that Facebook let go.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, that by itself improves my respect for the platform.
There's been outcry that if you're talking bad about Musk, actions might be taken against you.
He's let people smack talk him. He doesn't care, actually. I think he gets a kick out of it because he actually responds to them on Twitter. He's
Yeah.
not banned them. He's like, people complaining about Twitter, irony, hashtag. It's like, you're complaining about the platform, but you're not being banned from complaining. You're complaining about my free speech allowances and are then shocked to discover I'm not banning you for talking about these things.
Yeah.
It's like, are you not recognizing the irony of your situation?
I
you're
think,
counting on free speech being protected by him in your complaint on his platform.
but he has taken down accounts that were um
He
like
has taken down accounts, but not necessarily for the reasons that people think. Some of those accounts have been linked to serious problems.
Kanye West. He got his account taken down. Right.
Well, he was accused of anti Semitism. Now, whether or not that's a valid accusation, I'm not going to say because I don't know what he said. I don't know what the context was for what he said. It's not like I follow Kanye West, okay? This is newsflash.
Yeah.
This may be a newsflash for people. I don't actually pay much attention to him. Every once in a while, his name blips in a headline, and I'm like, okay, all right. I know he's planning to run for president. Okay, well, that's an interesting development.
It's man, I this the Twitter rabbit hole is just there's so much to unpack because
Yeah.
um I hear comments between um extreme narcissist, um um complete incompetence because of the narcissism, thought he could handle this, and he's completely um over his head.
Oh, well, a lot of people have made that accusation because essentially what he came in is he axed 75% of the staff, including several who were working on the network itself.
Hmm.
So that can look like incompetence.
Hmm.
But I will say that if it were truly incompetence, Twitter would not be running right now.
Well, it's a very short window of time. So
And I will also say that getting replacement employees in that arena, not that difficult to do. Plus,
I'm
a lot of the staff that he let go were content moderators. Okay,
mhm.
so these were
Well,
not
I
heavyweights in the industry.
so I do think it's no. First, I would say that when you've got algorithms, countless number of algorithms at play, that just axing people, and I'm not inside the company, so um, I don't know all of the positions and the oversight and who knows all the countless things that are going on. But you need that institutional knowledge to at least understand a lot of those components. By
Yeah, I mean,
getting rid of those, um,
it's not the approach that I would have taken. Okay,
right.
I'll be dead honest with you. It is not the approach I would have taken. My approach would have been to walk in the door, assess the situation thoroughly
Hmm.
before making any decisions about who to let go and who to keep,
Hmm.
and gather as much data as you can from whoever you can, and yeah, weed out the people that are toxic to the company if you need to. But just taking an axe to the bottom of the tree and whacking away is not necessarily the wisest plan
Hmm.
because you don't know what you're really affecting. Just because it looks like you're chacking one tree doesn't mean that tree doesn't have connections to things that you didn't know you needed.
Right. So I could easily see the incompetence angle because he goes in. Let's say he goes in with the plan of I'm going to remake this platform. Oh, well, some of this is bloat, and I need to cut some costs. And hey, this company's never really been profitable. So the people we have here as decision makers aren't necessarily the ones who are going to make it. to a level of
Well,
profit.
they're definitely not making the best decisions for the company. And so, to be fair, some of the software, let me put it this way, porn is a prolific problem, especially among the IT industry. I'm not going to say that it's just the IT industry, but it is a higher than average percentage among those in IT.
Hmm.
Chances are good the reason they didn't build content moderation tools to weed out the kiddie porn was a large portion of that software engineering staff may very well have been involved in the distribution of it. That may have been one of the reasons for the terminations.
Definite possibilities. But and I'm just you know casually watching this from afar and trying to look and go, okay, so he was able to garner a substantial amount of investment money to be able to throw at this. Um, and his history is interesting because
He does have an interesting history.
right he there's been plenty of cases that there's been actions that like when he was coming out with the Tesla vehicle, it had some big problems. It wasn't
Yeah.
the amazing, like there was problems all over the place. But he did get
Well,
people
SpaceX has
excited
had
about it.
problems everywhere.
SpaceX is viable. It's got a
His
good partnership with NASA.
his hyper rail has had problems everywhere. I
Just well, yeah, the
There have
Hyperloop.
been a lot of ventures. Now, I will say this: there is a normal thing. If you have a really good entrepreneurial mindset, you don't mind taking big risks on projects that may never pan out because you understand that even if the project itself doesn't end up panning out, the learning and growth that you incur because you tried will provide benefit to some other project down the road.
Hmm.
You may make money. You may not make money the way you intended to, but that doesn't mean you can't make money off of what you learned in the process.
So I would make so I want to take a step further back in a timeline, and look at things
Well,
that
let's see if we can find an Elon Musk timeline. I'm absolutely positive we can.
well, I'm gonna go beyond
Ah,
Elon Musk, and talk about companies like Meta, and I'm pretty sure Google was one of the companies. Both of them saying, hey, they were called out on a series of different things and said, like, um, y- um, and flat out, I think it was Zuckerberg, but I'm pretty sure Google said something similar. Was basically, you tell us what regulations, don't have us regulate, because we don't want to be responsible for this. When we know it was at the I'm being all vague and I don't know anything. What was the article 230 or 2? Do you know what I'm talking about? The one that basically, where the publishing platform isn't responsible for what goes on their platform.
oh, let's see. Publishing platform.
I think it's like Article 230. Was it not?
Actually, it's the difference between being a publisher or a platform. Okay,
Section
a
230.
publisher does have responsibility. A platform does not.
Right. So we can go out and tweet, and and Twitter doesn't suffer consequences.
Well, interesting. There is no common law or statutory significance to the word platform. It is not found in Section 230 at all, actually, according to this article. There
So
is no
that
legal significance to labeling an online service a platform as opposed to a publisher. Nor does
so
the law treat online services differently based on their ideological neutrality or lack thereof.
so Section 230 is one of those parts of the law that, remember Al Gore saying, uh, helped invent the internet? We all laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, that's what he was talking about. Is those kind of things. He's talking about helping create the legal framework that allowed the internet to grow so fast and so quickly and become so successful. And he was right in that way. From a regulatory perspective, it did allow it to grow so fast. It's also one of the things that people have been calling out and going, "It- that can't be the we've run the this has run the end of its course. We have to figure out a modification, how you can apply broadcast. There's rules applied to companies that are broadcasting on TV or even cable networks, and you can start applying more and more of those rules, and some of them have been selectively applied in certain cases. um, so we can we how do we um, how do we go forward and keep the internet being free, but uh, making it less toxic, because it has become filled with toxicity. Um, and How do I put this? It's Imagine that you suddenly didn't have Twitter or Facebook. Um, how do you contact your friends that you don't have direct contacts if you don't have LinkedIn, right? um, it seems easy to just say, "Oh, let's get rid of social media." I say that social media as it exists needs to change. It has to change, but in what way? And we don't want the government being the sole decider on what's okay, right?
No,
You know what?
because we've seen what happens when the government. Actually, we've seen what happens because the government has actually been directly involved in content moderation on Facebook, and that's been proven. They've been directly involved in content moderation on Twitter, and we've seen that they have not necessarily used that power for good.
And that's so I can go and wade into the to government being involved after, but next. But the social media companies, the moment when they were deciding, when they banned Trump, Angela Merkel of Germany, right? She was like, that's I don't remember her comments, but she was pretty alarmed. Like, that's that's usually that's not for the social media company to decide. That's a little far, right? And
It should not be. Well, okay, I'm of two minds on this, and I'll tell you why. Social media serves billions of people. Okay, so it has a lot of clout and power potential,
right,
which means that it also does need to exercise some form of there needs to be some form of moderation, you know, because you don't want you don't want to promote things that disrupt society, right? You don't want to promote things that destroy the very framework you're trying to build, which is a social network.
right.
But on the other hand, um, uh, applying too strict a restriction, telling social media these are businesses. I don't want somebody telling me who I have to do business with, who I have to get in bed with business wise.
Hmm.
So why does a social media platform founder not have the right to decide and determine who gets on their platform? That's part of me says that's their platform. It's
Hmm.
their property. They should not be required to host somebody. That would be like me walking into your house and telling you, Kevin, because your house is a very popular space to visit, you have to let anybody in the door. Would you want that? Would you accept that?
I would not be pleased.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And they're not even charging for admission to their place, right? They're not charging admission. You're free to go there. All they're asking is that you follow their rules. Shouldn't they have the right to set the rules by which you play
So
when you're in
Alexander,
their house?
so let's go back to a monopoly. Alexander Graham Bell, right, creates Ma Bell. At the time when he created it, there were competitors, and he goes to the federal government and says, "I can't build, I can't build this network, this telecommunications network this way. It's too expensive. People are cutting, like it's cutthroat, and everybody's just cutting each other under." So the federal government steps in and says, "All right, we're going to legalize your little monopoly. We'll give you so, but you have to serve rural areas too, places that you're not going to make a profit." So that carried on for a very long time until eventually they just kept raising prices, and then hello, phone company, like operators, and people got tired of it, and eventually it was like it went too far, and then it was broken up. Um, Now, okay, so you can run your monopoly. We're not just talking. I mean, one of the things they buy, like Meta buys WhatsApp under the understanding that they weren't going to share data across platforms.
Which they lied about and
Of
were
course,
caught doing.
right? Um, and they muscled Instagram into selling. I basically threatened to tank the company. Um,
And, that's not an uncommon practice in business. I know a guy who was running, okay, this is a slight segue off, but there was a guy I knew who had a successful aluminum recycling company
mhm,
in Georgia. And Coca Cola decided it wanted to open its own recycling plant. So they come to this guy and they said, "We want to hire you to run our recycling plant." I was like, "Why would I want to work for you? I've got my own business. I'm quite happy where I'm at. I'm successful. My customers are happy with my service." They literally told him, "Either you come to work for us or we will bury your business." He didn't believe it. He was like, "No, my customers, they're loyal to me." They started paying twice the rate of the aluminum. So even his loyal customers were leaving. Within 3 weeks, his company was dead. He couldn't afford to pay. They had buried him, just like they said they would. He lost his business, he lost his home, he lost his car.
wow. Well, I'm sure the practice isn't uncommon. It's just once you've gotten to a certain level of control in society.
Right. Well, it's what Walmart does consistently. They go into a town, they will undercut every mom and pop business in that town
Hmm.
until they drive them out. And then they will raise prices so that you have no choice except to shop at Walmart, basically.
Yeah.
This is my problem with corporations is that they gain quickly way too much power, disproportionate amount of economic power, and it actually stifles the ability of the small business owner to survive and thrive.
Yeah. Um,
Which small businesses are actually the backbone of our economy. They hire more people, they serve their communities more, they do more for the people in their community because they're vested in them.
you need economies of scale to do certain things. Certain things you are just not going to do with a small business. The small businesses can be involved in the ecosystem created around a large corporation, but you really do need a large corporation to do certain things.
I
Um,
don't know that I agree. I
oh,
think you can do it with a cooperation between small businesses in an industry,
well,
like a co op.
so now I like that. But so, like, case in point would be like, let's look at Amazon, right? Um, Now, as with all of the biggest tech companies, they're like a bunch of different tech, right? But everything about the Amazon.com and their selling platform, um, there are companies that are building themselves up by selling through Amazon. There is uh, well, the delivery system that they've really brought a lot of that in house, but there's been a lot of that. So there has been a lot of people who are building up Amazon around their own business too, and have benefited. Um,
I'm not saying that people don't benefit from corporations. That's not my argument.
mhm,
I mean, for one thing, there is not indie publishing would not be where it's at if not for Amazon.
mhm.
They were the first ones to really open the door to independent publishers and get them the traction that they needed to gain audiences, to overcome the challenges and the setbacks they faced in going up against big publishing. Because big publishing had basically a death grip on the market.
Yeah.
If you did not work with the big publishers, you were not going anywhere.
And Amazon unseated Walmart in a lot of ways. Um,
They did, and now they've like become what they took over.
yeah. um, but I would say, but let's say chip manufacturing. Advanced chip manufacturing is simply not going to be done by a small company.
Well, now here's where Henry Ford has wisdom that we could use and borrow because, he took the car and made it assembly line process.
Hmm.
If we broke it down, chip manufacturing down among several different small businesses, and each one was focused on one aspect of the chip manufacturing process, you could conceivably compete
Well,
to
there's
scale.
so a company like TSMC is exactly that, but still, that is a massive investment to make to become what TMC has done. They don't actually design the chips. They're to very specific part of it, but a very important part of it, right? That took that took a national effort of Taiwan's to go. Let's put some money behind this, and they put a
Well, and
ton
that's where the
into it.
United States needs to step in and invest in those small businesses. We collect a lot of fees from corporations,
Hmm.
but those don't get sewn back into the small businesses, and they should. Basically, it should be invested back in small business to even the playing field.
So now that point, so talk about the co-op idea.
You're talking about, for instance, let's talk about the trucking industry. The traditional corporation trucking model is to have them control the deployment of trucks, and they go across international, or not international, across interstate lines, and they've got several different stations across the United States where their truckers get their dispatch and stuff. With a cooperative model, the small trucking companies would work together. Okay, you transport from here to here, we'll pick it up from here, we'll take it there, we'll all share the proceeds.
Hmm.
We all share the risks, we all share the gas costs, so that they're buying in bulk just like a corporation would, so they get that advantage,
Hmm.
but they're also still keeping it local, right? I mean, they're benefiting local communities. They're building up those people they work directly with and getting the same advantages that a big corporation would, but without the corporate mega economic clout.
The unnecessary bureaucracy, right?
Yeah.
The bureaucracy that is living off of the proceeds, and there's going to be some of that. Even if you have a network of companies, there's going to be an organizing, some organizing companies that become central. Um, is that visible to
Ban
everyone?
that. Ban that.
Hey, is that? Oh, that's all. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
oh, okay. Um,
we've got spammers that have invited themselves.
Okay.
You remember that porn discussion we were having earlier about Twitter? Yeah, apparently these guys.
Yeah, you go on endlessly about these things. I don't know. So,
Well, I know you don't have a problem with it, big brother, little brother, but
says real. Okay, these are all. Did that block the comments from people? Did the
no,
users
it
actually
shouldn't
see
have.
that?
Yes, they should be able to see it. It's unfortunate we can't clear those comments out,
Um,
at least as far as I
Let
know.
me try refreshing.
Yeah,
Changes you've made. Am I
maybe I need to leave too because
okay?
I still see them up there.
Okay. I'm going on to. Wait, you still see them?
Yeah, I still see them, but maybe it's my.
But when I refreshed, you
Let
didn't
me
cut.
see.
We were still live, right? I'm all alone. What am I going to do now? Oh, wait, there she is. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, they're gone now.
They're gone. Okay, I'm
Thank
going
God.
to new
I'm
pinned
telling you.
chat. Oh, okay. No. Oh, girls 18. No, I'm not going to read off the username even.
Yeah, no, no,
Someone
no.
might be like, wait, what was that? Sorry.
Can I get that site? No,
um, oh, wait, it's right there on the
I
video.
don't see them.
Oh, okay.
They're gone.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I came back in to see if it would refresh and stop showing me those because I really don't.
I mean, it's on YouTube right now.
Great. Well, there's a slight delay of slight delay in broadcast. So
uh, okay. Maybe it's because I paused. Okay, maybe if I. Yeah, I don't want to look at those. Weird.
I
Okay.
know, right?
So the oh great, now I have to reconfirm I am me.
Are you sure you're you?
Hold on. You already
I
asked
mean,
me if
this
you
does
thought
go
if I
back to
knew
our
whether I was an
AI
AI or
question.
not. We can't. Now you're asking me if I'm a totally different identity. I can't answer both questions in the same conversation.
I know, Kevin. I'm
Okay. Okay,
your
so
mind is totally blown.
on the co-op, so I I really I find it intriguing, worker co-ops. I still say that there will be organizing entities that there will be corporations with more control at certain points. But I do see, I like ownership in that in ownership you are invested most in the outcome because everyone working at any company is working for the owner's future. There's no guarantee that they will be there themselves in 6 months or 2 years, but the owner stands to benefit from everyone's work, all of the stockholders and what have you. So, an increasing number of owners is beneficial. Um, as long as it's not large corporations doing things to offload benefits, like their risks, right? Hey, we'll make you an owner. This
Well,
would be great, but now you got to
one
pay
of the
your own.
things
Yeah.
that I see as a problem with corporations is corporations are beholden to their stockholders, not to the communities in which they operate. By switching the power over to a co op, every owner in the co op is still beholden to their community,
Well,
not to the
that's still a
stockholders.
corporation. I just so like
The co-op is not a corporation because there's no stockholders. It's a cooperative agreement amongst business owners
I thought
operating
I thought it was
broadly.
just a subtype of corporation.
Mm-mm, no,
Um,
a cooperative agreement doesn't have stockholders.
um, Okay, this is saying, I don't know, uh, I don't know, whatever the site says. A cooperative or co-op is another type of business entity. Although people often describe a co-op as being as being distinct from a corporation, the cooperative business structure is in reality a type of corporation. Um,
I would say no because there's no stockholders there. The only people involved are the business owners cooperating together. Now, if they choose to make it a corporation, which they could, they would be the only stockholders involved in the co-op.
I I
So
think
they're beholden to each other and then to the community.
I think that's the problem. Is that a corporation um, is not beholden to the community that they're working in. They can negotiate to have their headquarters and then they could pack it, or a store location. Then they could pack up in 2 years and go, you know what, this is not worth it. And now a community could be
Exactly.
gutted. And
Exactly.
then the worker coming along, unless they're getting stock options at a startup, right? And that goes big, and then they can bank on that. The worker comes along, they do something, they might be instrumental in doing something, and then the corporation, that person doesn't stay. Maybe they're let go or whatever. The corporation benefits long term, right? And um, this is increasingly likely with automation and AI tools, where I don't need these workers to do this, right? Technology is amazing at shortening distances, right? That includes shrinking down uh, organizational structures, right? Do I need as
Hmm.
much of my middle management? So much of, you worked like enough jobs that were, hey, this will just add a couple minutes to your, to this. This
Oh
will just add a
yeah,
couple.
yeah.
So
I
much of
want you to
that
get this.
is
This should be just a couple minutes. A couple minutes extra, and then a couple minutes extra, and a couple minutes extra,
just a
and
couple minutes.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's always the claim that they make, and they've never done any research to figure out exactly how long that process actually takes. They're assuming it will only take a couple of minutes. This is why actually scope creep too comes into play because the scope of your job is originally this, and
hmm
then they're like, well, if you're doing this, this is related to that. So how about you do this, and it should only take you a couple minutes extra without anybody ever sitting down and figuring out how long this actually takes.
Well, I realized, later on
That's
what
slightly
that was
too.
about. Was always, it didn't matter what the person was saying. They had to do it, right? They had to give the orders. So it was collectively, whatever answer we're going to give you, you're going to have to accept. So this is which it seems like that's the easiest one to give. Except when you've repeated that same one 5 times in 18 months, the employees are like, really? Okay. But
Well, and
well,
to your point though, there's no in a lot of situations the employee is vulnerable because they're in a position where they feel like they can't say no,
right. But I would
and their
say,
work is being hijacked. They don't profit long term from their work. They get paid once for what they do, and they get no more profit, even though the company continues to profit off of their work.
right. Um, but I would say that, so what I realized later on, why there was always these extra things being added, because some wasn't a clear employee benefit, or it wasn't always a clear customer benefit. It seemed like you're just kind of making it, serving the customer more difficult. Um, and it was realization that if you're at the higher up in management you are, the harder it is to really understand what's going on the floor. Well, don't people understand? No, they don't. Right. And so the higher the more vertical your organizational structure, there's more steps between the bottom and the top. And so they're going, I need information. And each step in the chain is pushing something down. Maybe we can get more collective, right? If we get more information, we can understand, we can better optimize everything. And so, regardless of what the employee is concerned with, you know, and management may even see, well, eventually this is going to benefit them anyways. And regardless, they don't have a choice; they have to push it. They've already been told. Um, but it kind of makes sense. But technology has been making it easier and easier to get that information. But it's also making it to where, oh, okay, well, we don't need those employees at these points. In some of these cases, I think right now there's a realization that some of the problem is that middle management, um, because they don't know how to operate in. Oh, I have a 2-year-old that
Ha
has
ha ha.
broken free. Okay, hold on.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. You gonna help us solve the world's problems, Charlotte? Yeah?
Say
You gonna
hi.
help us out?
Say hi.
Hello. This is my niece, everybody. Isn't she beautiful? She's helping us solve the world's problems today.
Say hi.
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 Wave.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
wave.
go.
Yeah. Good job. Good job. What do you think about corporations? What do you think about them? What do you think we should do?
She's not used to headphones. See if I can get these.
You're like,
Can you hear?
Daddy? Yeah. Hi.
Talk to her. Say,
Tell me what you
tell her
think.
purple. Say purple.
Say purple?
Apple.
Purple.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Say blue.
Blue.
Yeah,
Blue.
blue.
Yes. What color is that?
Yeah.
Black.
Yes, she is, isn't she?
Black. Black. Yeah.
Black.
Yeah. Got black.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right.
Our youngest broadcaster yet,
Oh yeah, orange. You saw orange.
brand new to the team. Now she was going to solve our world's. She was going to add to the solutions for our world's problems.
I don't know where my audio output is when I don't have my headphones on, so I didn't try it out. So when it was just you, it was just, oh, don't come back. No, she's so cute.
Too cute to be resisted.
You want to talk on here?
She's like, of course, Daddy. I have so much to say.
She's not used to the screen talking, like being able to communicate with.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You can't see that. She's found a blanket in my office and she's curled under it. Are you
Aww.
hiding?
Super cute.
Where'd you go? Where's Charlotte? I can't
Uh-oh.
find Charlotte
Where's
anywhere.
Charlotte? Can we find?
Oh, there you are.
Oh.
This is where I need to not have the background, right?
Yeah. I mean, come on. If you got that much cuteness in one room, you should not hide it. You
Oh,
set
no.
out on an interstellar mission to discover new life, and lo and behold, there it is.
Yeah. Found this life form a little over 2 years ago.
Indeed. Was it also hatched like you?
No, I was an alien abducted. You Earthlings have just kept me here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
Where
You
is
get a-
Charlotte? I can't find. Oh, I think I heard her. Did I hear Charlotte? Let me see what happens with my.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. can't hear you. Hello, Miss Charlotte. How are you? Are you having a good time with Daddy? Hmm? She's like, yeah, I'm done with that. By the way, you cannot be heard, Kevin. Can't be heard. I don't know what you did to your sound, but you totally kicked it out. Yeah, you are not being heard at all. And in this world, apparently tech is going to cause problems for Kevin tonight. We're going to solve the world's problems, but we're going to cause tech problems while we're doing it. What did you do, sir? What did you do?
Oh, wait, am I coming through now?
There we go. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Somehow accidentally muted myself. I have. Is it?
He loves tech, but it's way too complicated for him.
I have a gremlin in my house. I was told not to feed her after midnight. No butter and water.
Well, fortunately for you, you've still got an hour and a half before the cutoff.
Was that normal, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ciao.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut this one short.
All right.
All right.
Well, apparently, solving the world's problems involves taking care of small munchkins that need attention.
All right. Love you. Night, everyone.
Love you. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Till next time.